Huh. It's been a bit. Let's see how my Origins videos do. Well, I guess I'm talking about Buried today.
Hey Mason, how's the wife doing?
Matt, you know I'm not married.
That's great. Anyway, I got an email from corporate. They said you have to talk about Der Eisendrache instead.
Der Eisendrache, but I want to talk about Buried. The comment clearly says Buried.
Hey man, they keep the lights on, so you better do what they say.
Alright, fine. But I'm not gonna like it. Der Eisendrache. It's the second major map of Black Ops 3 Zombies, released in February of 2016. Admittedly, I was very late to the party, and by that I mean I never actually played it until I got my PS4 in early 2017, but I could immediately understand why everybody loves this map. It feels very familiar, yet new and exciting. Today, I'd like to take the next little bit to talk about this wonderful map, so grab some snacks, relax, and let's jump right in with... Ha ha ha, I fooled you. We're actually jumping in today's sponsor, W Energy. Fellas, I'm gonna level with you. I've tried other energy drink substitutes, and W Energy has to be the best one out there. With amazing flavors such as my personal favorite, Beach and Peach, and their newest one, Orange Dreamsicle, you can't go wrong. So, use my link in the description below and use code DEPOT for 10% off any item including mixes, cups, and awesome swag. Alright you knuckleheads, back to the video. Der Eisendrache is a 1,000-year-old castle in the Austrian mountains. You know, I actually learned while researching this video that it's based on a real place. It's not called Der Eisendrache, but the castle is very, very similar to it. Anyway, it's split up into two main parts, the main castle area and the rocket pad. For now, I want to focus on the castle area as this is where a majority of the time will be spent. The spawn room is a 2-story gondola station. You've got your standards, your quick revives, your wall weapons, but you'll also notice a power-up standing there, menacingly. This is a tram fuse, and it's used to call up the tram, which can give you a variety of power-ups from max ammos to nukes. There is also a hidden Easter egg where I'm not exactly sure how you get it, but you can actually call up another tram and it will give you a pack-a-punched weapon. You'll also notice that there is a circular-like pad on the floor that you can activate. That's for the map's central way of transportation, the Wonder Spheres. Think of them as diet teleporters, but instead of teleporting you, they fling you into the air going Mach Jesus. To use them, you have to link the correct landing pad with the correct Wonder Sphere. After that, they only cost 500 chroma to use. You have two paths to take, the upstairs door and the ground level. Should you take the upstairs door, you'll be greeted with a tunnel that feels like a very unintentional callback to the map Buried. The only thing to note here is that Mule Kick is here. Continue through the tunnel and you'll be greeted to the inside of a tower. There's a nice painting here that, if you notice, might change from time to time, but that's something you don't have to worry about until you go for one of the map's main mechanics. Once through the tower, you'll enter a courtyard. There's a box spawn and a shield piece, as well as multiple sets of stairs. One will take you to the battlements where there's a landing pad and a Wonder Fizz. One takes you into buyable debris that lets you into the church. And the last one takes you into the barracks/armory that has access to the battlements as well as the church. Once inside the church, you'll see a big stone dragon over a fireplace, which admittedly is a pretty cool damn sight. You'll also find the best perk in the game, don't even at me, Speed Cola, as well as the door that will take you to the power room. Alright, let's switch it up and talk about what would happen should you go downstairs, as both sides end up in the same place. You go through the first door and are brought to a somewhat narrow passageway that has double tap, a gobblegum machine, and a gate trap. Once through the next door, you're in another small courtyard with a stone dragon, a box spawn, and another shield piece. Walk up the stairs, and there is another landing pad in front of a small bridge. Cross the said bridge and go through the debris to enter some bedrooms, more on that later, and up to the power room. Once the power is turned on, you'll be able to access new parts of the map, and the most apparent one will be right next to the power switch, where a big metal door will open. Go outside, and you'll see what looks to be the Origins Pack-a-Punch machine in shambles. I'll go into that when I talk about mechanics. You'll also see that the map's central trap, the Death Ray, is here. Sounds harmless, right? Finally, you'll see a Wonder Sphere that takes you to an unknown area, but you can't use it just yet. This also connects the two sides of the map, so you have a quick route to go from side to side. The other new part you can access is the Catacombs. This is home to a Pack-a-Punch location, the third dragon, a door to the teleporter, a shield piece, and a pyramid. In each cardinal direction, there are little stone tablets on the floor outside of the square area of the pyramid. Stand on all of them until they glow to activate zero gravity. In this timed mode, you can run on the walls in the entire underground. It's actually how you get the last shield piece you need. Once you activate the teleporter, you will be taken to the second, less prevalent area of the map, which is the rocket pad. Down here, you will find a rocket. Surprising, right? You'll also find the third and final Pack-a-Punch location, a landing pad that connects to the one across from the Death Ray, and a Wonder Sphere that links back to the pad that you linked in the spawn room. And that's pretty much it for the map layout. It's your standard affair with a few new tricks up its sleeve to make it feel fresh and new. Now, I think it's time we move on to... This section isn't going to be as long as the previous one, but if it is, I guess I'll put up a picture of Doug. While other maps like Origins and Mob of the Dead have a central mechanic integral to the map, the former having generators and the latter having the afterlife mechanic, Eisendrache is a pretty good return to form for Black Ops 1, in that really the only main mechanic is turning on a power switch. That being said, this map does have a lot of other mechanics, and it does borrow some, namely from Origins and Mob of the Dead. It resembles Origins in that there are 4 elemental wonder weapons that you can acquire via upgrading. How do you get the main weapon that you need? Well, by borrowing the mechanic from Mob of the Dead, of course. Those stone dragons I mentioned before, they aren't just nifty statues. They're actually alive. Ooh. I've recorded this 3 times and I don't know why I kept it in. It's not that funny. Moving on. It takes 1 zombie kill near it to activate it, and 7 subsequent zombies to fill it to completion. Don't ask me how I know this. I've done a lot of research. Once all 3 dragons are fed, you get the Wrath of the Ancients bow. By itself, you know what? It's actually a pretty good bow. What makes it better, though, is upgrading it to one of the 4 elements. Wolf bow, lightning bow, void bow, and the fire bow. These bows are fantastic, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce any of their names for fear of my furniture randomly floating. Don't ask me to do it, because I won't. The other mechanic of note is the Pack-a-Punch. I mentioned before that there are 3 points it can be, and they are all piles of rubble. Interact with 2 of them, and when you walk up to the third, Pack-a-Punch will form, and stay there for a few rounds. After that, it will begin cycling through the 3 locations at random. A couple of other things worth mentioning. The specialist weapon in this is the Ragnarok DG5s. They're basically the gravity spikes from multiplayer. You can collect these pieces by killing the Panzer for the first time. By the way, Panzer's here, and he's a little bit worse in terms of annoyance because he does not have a claw anymore, but he fires shock charges at you. Arguably more annoying. You can get a second piece by using the Death Ray and the subsequent Wonder Sphere. And by waiting for the rocket to test fire, flipping a switch, and then flipping switch part 2 by the teleporter. And that wraps up the mechanics. Honestly, for how simple they can be, I personally don't think it brings this map down in terms of quality and replayability. Now, I think it's time I gave you a brief rundown on the... Now, you might be asking yourself, why are we in a random castle in the middle of Austria? You might also be asking yourself, why have I been listening to this goober talk about a zombies map? Well, the answer to the second question is because my Origins video did really well and I'm trying to overcompensate. The answer to the first one is a bit longer, so let's dive right in. The whole reason we're at this facility is because Dempsey 1.0, or Ultimus Dempsey, or Black Ops 1 Dempsey, is here, and Richtofen needs his soul for some shenanigans that really only make sense if I explain the entire Black Ops 3 storyline, which might come soon. Sounds easy enough, right? Stroll up, take a soul, and be on your way. Ha 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 ha! Wrong. See, as they get to the castle, a rocket carrying the cryopod he's in launches and is on its way to the moon. So now the crew's objective is to shoot the rocket down. While they go about their business, upgrading bows and solving puzzles, a familiar, well, at least a Richtofen, A voice can be heard. It's Dr. Groff! You don't know who Dr. Groff is? Come on, it was in Zombies 101. Anyway, and he's on the moon base. While eager to help at first, he quickly becomes apprehensive and almost antagonistic towards the group. So now their mission gets more complicated because now not only do they need to get Dempsey, they need to deal with Moon Man. Using the death ray, they shoot the rocket down, and the cryopod just conveniently lands in the courtyard. But it's not over yet, because Groff activates a defense mechanism that doesn't allow any of them to get near it. The Vril device, aka the Golden Rod, also conveniently falls out of the rocket. So, using that, they summon a Keeper to help. You don't know what a Keeper is either? God, they should have taught you this in high school. After being corrupted by the Moon Pyramid device, or MPD, our heroes destroy the Keeper and blow up the moon. I still don't understand why they needed the summoning key to do it, but they did, stopping Dr. Groff and, well, destroying the moon. After a heartfelt goodbye, they successfully acquire the soul of Dempsey and move on to their next adventure. That pretty much sums up the story of Der Eisendrache. As a starting point, it definitely hooks the player without giving away the house to keep us intrigued. What does Richtofen need with these souls? Why does he need everyone's help? Who knows? You'll have to tune in next time on Dragon Ball Z. That joke's still funny, right? Story-wise, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The actual Easter egg, a 10 out of 10. And no, it's not just because I speedrun it in my sleep. All in all, this map was very well received, and it's not hard to see why. It blends old school design with new school mechanics beautifully. Okay, I finished talking about Der Eisendrache. Is corporate happy now?
Yeah, in fact, they're so happy they gave me a contract for you to sign.
Well, it's about time they recognize my talents. Alright, signed.
Awesome. Now get to work.
What do you mean?
You're now contractually obligated to talk about Vanguard zombies.
Ah!